All right. Welcome, everyone. Good Monday morning to all of you. Just a couple days left of this very weird, chaotic, and unpleasant, for the most part, year. It is December 29th. So I hope everybody's gearing up for a new year, a new opportunity, hopefully, for the Democrats to retake the House and Senate, maybe even. And of course, potentially put an end to the reign of terror that we have seen all year. But even if that happens, it won't technically happen next year because the new Congress won't be sworn in until January of 2027. But still, we could at least get some good news next November. But here's the fun thing. The Epstein files. Not only did we get new batches released recently, we also got information from Trump himself that got a million more pages they just found in the prosecutor's office in New York. Yeah, they just had a million pages sitting there that nobody had noticed. I mean, it's a million pieces of paper, you can overlook that pretty easy. Thank you, V-Man, for the super chat. I'm not going to be able to get to that right now. I'm going to stick to this topic. So I do appreciate it, however. But the Epstein files have broken Donald Trump's brain. And I love to watch this happen because Donald Trump never wanted these files released. He pretended he did during the 2024 campaign. He knew it was going to be humiliating for him, and it has been. I mean, my God, we got information that he had at least knowledge of a murdered baby. Okay. That's something you can't easily shake off. Thank you for the super chat there, M. Miller. Again, I do appreciate these so much, guys, but I'm going to stick to this Epstein topic. So thank you for that. I will hopefully have time to address these later on in the stream, but let's stick to this for right now, please, if we can. This is too important to not talk about. Donald Trump got on social media after not wanting these files released and has now changed his tune. He does, in fact, want these Epstein files released, but only the names of the Democrats in the files. Here is what Trump put on social media. Now 1 million more pages on Epstein are found. DOJ is being forced to spend all of its time on this Democrat-inspired hoax. When do they say no more and work on election fraud, etc.? The Dems are the ones who worked with Epstein, not the Republicans. Release all of their names, embarrass them, and get back to helping our country. The radical left doesn't want people talking about Trump and Republican success. Only a long ago dead Jeffrey Epstein. Just another witch hunt. Look, honestly, I would love it if everybody was only focused on the things that Trump and the Republicans have done over the last year. Like, to me, that's a bigger story than Epstein. And honestly, Trump doesn't want people to talk about those things either, because when they do talk about them, his poll numbers go down. So you guys have no accomplishments to speak of, only a trail of damage that you have created over the last 12 months. So again, I don't think you want people talking about that, do you? No, because it's not going to help you at all. In fact, that's going to make it even worse for Republicans as we head into this midterm election year. But release the names of the Democrats. He said, embarrass them. While at the same time, Bill Clinton's out there like, go ahead and release it. Release my photos. I don't give a damn. Do it. Whatever. So even the Democrats that are in the files are like, go ahead. I don't care. Like, let's do it. I'll show you my files if you show me your files. But here's what gets me. We know from the files, we know from all the information, we know from all of the past stuff that was available prior to the files, Trump was there. So Donald, if you want to somebody to release the names of the Democrats. Why don't you do it? Right? I mean, you know who was there. You know who you saw. You know who was at the parties with you guys. You know who was on the plane with you guys. Why don't you just tell us yourself, Donald? Tell us about all of the Democrats you were rubbing elbows with while you were partying with Jeffrey Epstein and his victims. Because you know it better than the files do, right? Files can overlook things. That's just what people wrote down. I'm willing to bet most of the truly horrific things are not in those files anywhere. Those are dark, buried secrets that only the people who were present would know. So, Donald, if you're so hell-bent on releasing Democrat names, why don't you get out there and name them? Oh, that's right. You can't do it because that, of course, is in fact an admission that, yeah, you were right there in the thick of it. So you want the DOJ, you want Pam Bondi, the witless wonder, to go out there and do your dirty work for you, but you just can't tell her the names. You have to have the documents to back them up. And that's the same documents that even people like Clinton are like, get ahead and release them to everybody. We don't care. So you're in a bit of, I guess we'll call it a sticky wicket, huh? But that's where we're at. Donald Trump never had a firm grasp on reality. His mental health has always been questionable. But the release of these files has finally caused the last little bit of his brain to completely break. Just absolute, the dude is gone because of the stress this is causing him. Super chat here from 97 Multi-Phantom. Thank you very much. Says, Bill is currently engaged in the strategy known online as F you, let's die. And it's honestly quite hilarious. Yeah, it is. And I love that because Bill's like, I got nothing to lose at this point. You know, I've been out of office for 25 years, going on 26. My wife's not going to run again, hopefully. And let's do this, man. Bill Clinton's an old man who's had heart problems, again, for over 2 decades. He knows his time is not long. Everybody knows that he's a guy that loves the ladies. You're not going to do any more damage to him than has already been done. And he doesn't have the same kind of ego and narcissism that Donald Trump has. So Clinton's like, let's go. You know, let's go down together, buddy. And also maybe let's clear up the whole Bubba thing because I don't want people thinking that that's what happened. So maybe Bill Clinton has a little bit of clearing up to do in that regard. And that's why he wants the files released. Like, please, let's make people not think that that thing happened. I'm not the Bubba. It was a joke. Come on, guys. But we'll see. I love to watch Donald Trump having these meltdowns because he brought this on himself. That's the funniest part. None of this would have been an issue had he not campaigned on it. He vowed, he promised, he said, I'll release the files. And then his base got rabid about it and said, good, obviously they're doing all this horrible stuff here and we've got to expose these Democrats. And Trump said, I'll do it. And then he didn't. And then he didn't, and he didn't, and he didn't. Then he was forced to, and now it's totally screwed him over. Let's go to some comments here. It says, an innocent man runs towards the fire, a guilty man runs away from it. Yeah, that's what we're looking at right now with Donald Trump. He doesn't want these released, and because of what's been released, we know exactly why he doesn't want it released. But I think the dead child story, it's shocking to me that story has already gone away. That's not even in the headlines anymore. If you want to find it, you have to type in, the specific keywords to go find that article. Now, how is that not a gigantic, massive story? That's what blows my mind. If back in the day, if there had been a story like, hey, by the way, Obama knew about this child that was brutally murdered, or at least we think he may have known about it. we would probably still be talking about it today. There would have been major investigations launched immediately. We get this information about Trump like what, 4 or 5 days ago? Granted, sure, it was Christmas, but Jesus, uh, you know, it's already a dead story. Couple more super chats here. Thank you very much. Hunter Williams, thank you. Says, do you see any of the Bushes trying to hide something? No, and that's what's crazy is as horrible as that family is, like that's not a line that any of them crossed. Obviously, Obama's not hiding anything either. Neither is Biden. So, Paula Trigg, thank you very much for the super chat here. I appreciate it. Thank you, by the way, Softer Taco, for the gifting of the memberships there. That is awesome. Definitely appreciate that. I do want to address these 2 super chats from earlier. Again, guys, I'm not trying to say, but I wanted to get out everything I needed to first. V-Man says, hey, Farron, Trump wants to revive battleships, a concept Air Force pioneer Billy Mitchell proved obsolete in 1921. Is this a laundering scheme or does he have a 1900s naval mindset? I think Donald Trump does have that very old mindset. I think Donald Trump thinks bigger is better, bigger is threatening. So he wants battleships because battleships are very large. They're big. They've got big, giant guns. That's scary. And so if we build these things again, put them out, near Venezuela, maybe send them over to the Middle East, everybody's going to be scared of us because they're scared of the boats, which is kind of a dumb concept because we can send a little robot drone to go take out a boat in about 10 minutes. I mean, we know that because Trump's been doing that, not necessarily with battleships, but with, fishing boats, target practice for them, I guess, killing innocent people. But he thinks that without realizing that technology has evolved to the point where battleships have been obsolete for over 100 years. M. Miller super chat here says, uprising in Iran right now, inflation hit 300%, overnight markets collapsed, Ayatollahs in hospital. I've obviously not been paying attention to that. So that's news to me. Foreign policy is not typically something I focus on so much. I am domestic policy. That is my training. That is my background. But I will definitely look into that because obviously any kind of instability, especially in a region such as the Middle East, opens up the opportunity for the United States to go in and basically commit some pretty horrific atrocities. So that is something, once we wrap it up here, I will, take a look at that because that does seem kind of very important. So thank you very much for that info. American Hoovian says, if they want the incriminating stuff, they should be inquiring about the Miss Teen USA pageants and Billy Bush. I agree 100%. I mean, look, Donald Trump is a guy who, back when he was running in the first time, HuffPost did a massive story about the fact that there were more than 40 different women, 40, that have credibly accused Donald Trump of some form of sexual misconduct, either inappropriate touching, sexual harassment, some of them worse than that. And it just, everybody just moved on. Everybody just didn't care. And a lot of that, of course, did come from the Miss Teen USA contestants. So that is something that definitely deserves an investigation. Like, not just some digging by good reporters. I mean, they can do great work, obviously, but that deserves a proper investigation, including, subpoenaing some witnesses on that stuff. A super chat here from Dope GGG. Thank you very much. Says, Maxwell put honestly, testify that she never saw the president engage in any untoward conduct because it all happened before he became president. I get you a little linguistic trick there. Yeah, she could. Maxwell right now is Donald Trump's ace in the hole. She needs him to either grant her clemency, commute her sentence, or outright give her a pardon. And Trump knows that. And he's kind of thinking, maybe I should, maybe she can protect me. But a pardon, if he goes that route, not with the commutation or clemency, if he goes pardon route and she accepts it, she immediately loses, thanks to the Supreme Court, her Fifth Amendment rights, which means she would have to testify to Congress if they subpoenaed her, in court, and then she can't hide. She can't lie because then she immediately goes back to prison. So she loses that Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination if he gives her a pardon. So that could actually backfire on him spectacularly. Paula Trigg, another super chat, thank you, says, I have said more than once, he fits all the criteria found in the tripium of psychopathy developed by a professor at FSU. There's a lot of things like in the DSM-5 that he definitely fits. I mean, from outright, potential sociopathy, psychopathy, narcissism, all of these things, and several others. And yeah, it would be amazing if Donald Trump could sit down with a licensed, psychiatrist, undergo mental health imaging. Right? Let's get some brain scans. Let's see if it's neurological or psychological. But there's definitely a ton of demons kicking around in there. Another super chat here from Sean is a Cubs fan, says, hello from Chicago. Love your work, Farron. If Trump dies in office from natural causes, how will his supporters react and what happens? If it's totally natural causes, then they're going to tell us that it was some sort of CIA operation that gave him a heart attack or whatever. They're never going to believe it's natural causes, ever, 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 ever. But they will say, like, well, we need statues of him. We need monuments. Every town in America has to have a Trump Avenue now. And they'll try to pass bills just like they did across the country in a lot of red states after Charlie Kirk's death. And they were like, well, every college in our state, they tried to do it in Florida, has to have a Charlie Kirk road. And even Republicans in the state were like, yeah, no, we're going to vote against this. This is real dumb. But they're going to do crap like that. Pixel Ghost, thank you very much for the super chat. Also, Stephen Long, super chat. Thank you very much. Pixie Ghost says, taking annual vacation to Aruba in February, and I'm so worried about the optics of being an American. Chat. Thank you very much. Pixie Ghost says, taking annual vacation to Aruba in February, and I'm so worried about the optics of being an American in the region as we're making the sea glow. Tell them you're Canadian. Just say like, no, I'm Canadian. Obviously, we look alike, and I hate that. I don't like being confused for an American, eh? Sorry, not trying to offend any Canadians with that, but yeah, just tell them you're Canadian. Don't go with like an American flag sticker backpack and all that. Just be like, nope, I'm from the Great North. Those Americans, those are crazy people, huh? Stay away from those. If you see any, you let me know. I'll get into it with them. Those pesky Americans. I don't know. That's my only advice for Americans traveling abroad. Try to pass yourself off as a Canadian, and buy a Canadian t-shirt. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to, get into stereotypes and be rude with anybody. Super chat here from Valerie Watkins. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Here's a comment says, hey, no, don't pretend to be Canadian. We're very tired of you Americans doing that and ruining our international reputation. Yeah, but it's only the good Americans doing it. Okay. We're not telling people like David Duke, hey, dude, pretend to be a Canadian. We're keeping it civilized. We're normal people. We don't want to be associated with the freaks either. We're on the same team here. Wow, this has certainly become a Canadian love fest. I love it. And I do love Canada. I've unfortunately never been there. And I would love to, but we do actually have a very large, percentage of our audience coming from Canada. So thank you guys very much. We appreciate it. Nothing but love for all of our Canadian friends here. Listen up, though. That's going to do it for today's live stream. And listen, before anybody starts hopping off, let me say a couple things about how this week is going to go. Obviously, we got New Year's Eve on Wednesday. We got New Year's Day on Thursday. The wife and I may be, trying to get out of town for a day-ish. I don't know, maybe 2 nights. I have actually booked a hotel room for a couple days. I don't know how long I'm going to end up staying. It was a free hotel. I'm not blowing money, folks. It's all free for me because of my sister. So thank you very much for that, sis. But yeah, we may do something. So anyway, I don't know what this week's streaming schedule is going to be like. I do know, of course, obviously there will be one tomorrow. There will definitely be one on Friday. New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, I'm not so sure. Kind of like last week with Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So definitely Tuesday, definitely Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, kind of up in the air. I'm leaning towards probably not. But I just wanted everybody to be aware of that, for anybody who's tunes in regularly, and I do appreciate everybody. One more super chat here. Let me get to. This is from Gene Up the Base. Says, how long before MAGA's excuse will be Trump only groped those kids because he was an FBI informant and he was proving his loyalty to Epstein? Oh, I'm willing to bet they're already saying that. Like, that's probably already a talking point, like over on Truth Social, excuse me. In fact, we have seen like MAGA influencers try to say that like, yeah, he did this because he was the informant. He couldn't blow his cover. One more super chat here from, comments are going fast. Natalie ML Romer says, on behalf of all Scandinavian countries, I say no taco. We don't have any interest in going to the U.S. Most Scandinavians I know say this. Hopefully that gets better over time. Obviously, probably not under this administration, but 3.5 years from now, maybe things are different and you guys can come back. We appreciate it. I know actually the city of Las Vegas is hurting a lot from not having Canadian tourism. That's something I've seen just overwhelmingly over the last like 4 or 5 months in news articles and videos, is that Vegas is suffering because of the lack of Canadians coming down. I didn't know that many Canadians were coming down and really keeping Vegas flowing, which by the way is like my favorite city in the country. But yeah, when things settle down, come on back to Vegas. And depending on the time of year, you may spot me out there because again, I love it. Most amazing food ever. Just really a great melting pot of everything. And if you're not into gambling, it doesn't matter because there's so much fun, even weird stuff to do. I went there, for the When We Were Young festival back in October. My friends and I were finally able to do a lot of the touristy things, not gambling stuff. And it was a blast. Like we're already planning, we're going to do it again just because there is so much weird, random things to do. So I love Vegas. I really do. Anyway, look, if you're not subscribed, subscribe. We have a lot of fun here every day. Share the segments, share it all. Let's spread the word far and wide. And hey, folks, tons of great content coming up for the rest of the day, including the fact that this Republican-controlled Congress has broken many really horrible records this year. So you're definitely going to want to tune into that one. A lot of really bad news to share in a fun way, though. That's what we do. Follow me across social media at Farron Balanced. Doesn't matter the platform. Type in at Farron Balanced. If you see it, it's me. If you don't, I'm not there. Other than that, have a great rest of your day. Make sure you tune into the videos coming up later on. Tune in tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Central Time for another live stream. Maybe the last of the year. I don't know. Until then, take care of yourselves.